LeSean McCoy.
Oh, let's keep it spicy.
Couple of Super Bowls, one with Tampa Bay, one with Kansas City. Great career.
How relevant was he in them games?
Yeah, well, that's
Super Bowl champ.
yeah. He's got a couple of rings.
I'd rather have Super Bowl rings, right?
And LeSean McCoy was on FS1 yesterday talking about the situation involving Eric Bieniemy, him going to Washington to take over as offensive coordinator for the Commandos. And LeSean McCoy had some strong words about his time with Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City. Take a listen.
What's his value? What makes him a good offensive coordinator? See, the problem is a lot of these people that go on social media, oh, he should be the guy for the job. They haven't played there. I've been in the rooms where he's coaching, and he has nothing to do with the pass game at all, right? When the plays are designed, that's Andy Reid. When you talk about offensive coordinators, I can tell you what makes Brian Daboll with the Giants a very, very good coordinator. I can tell you what Andy Reid or Doug Peterson. But when I ask about Eric Bieniemy, what makes him good? When we watch the film or practices and we correct the wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks, he doesn't talk in there. Andy Reid talks in there. I'm rooting for him because he's a black coach, and I love to see black coaches win. Also, he's a running back coach. Running back coaches don't never get a chance to be offensive coordinators. The last one was like Anthony Lynn. So I want that to do well for him. But if I got to do my job and be honest, my thing is just where is the true value at?
So that was LeSean McCoy yesterday on FS1 talking about Eric Bieniemy. Now, some former teammates have come out and defended Eric Bieniemy.
The honey badger.
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu said it was, in essence.
You effed.
Yeah.
You effed it.
Basically kind of messed up what he did. And
I like Tyreek Hill personally.
Yeah. What was his...
Shady mad EB told him to tuck that ball.
Because that was one of the things that he was having problem fumbling the football, and he got mad because Eric Bieniemy got on him.
You spent. I mean, listen. I'm a LeSean. He's a PA dude. He's not a Pittsburgh dude, but he's a
what
PA
up,
dude.
PA?
He went to Pittsburgh though. Yeah,
what's up, Berg?
You know what I mean? I fool with LeSean McCoy, but. And I mean, he's given his opinion, and I don't feel like he was egregious in giving what his truth was.
No,
but you were a reserve guy on that team. I mean, you and I both know, Q, when you're a main guy, you know a lot about what's going on. You know about the inner workings of what's taking place. There's more conversations. Like Tyreek Hill was probably getting pulled aside by his offensive coordinator, by the head coach. They're talking, they're meeting, they're spending more time in the meeting rooms. When you're not that guy, you know what happens? You go into the meeting room, you know what? Then the meeting is over and you leave. Like, he wasn't a guy for Kansas City. You're not the guy. And sometimes I think your interpretations of how things are done and what they are going to be surface value in some scenarios. And when you're not a guy, it's generally going to be surface value. I don't need to spend any more time with you. I don't need to make sure you know X, Y, and Z. I don't need to prove anything to you in these scenarios. You're a reserve guy. You're here. If we need a third down back, whatever, somebody gets hurt, we have some depth at the position. But I just think that if he had been saying that and he was saying that about Philadelphia, like, that's different. Because I think that in that moment, you're a main guy. So whatever it is, game plan wise, how you're looking at it, how it's being distributed, how it's being dispersed, what's being discussed, I think you're more in the know. And sometimes even the guy isn't really all the way in the know. Unless you're sitting in those coaches' meetings with those guys and you understand what the interactions are, yeah, sure, maybe the head coach is sitting there talking about this, that, and the other, but you don't know what their interactions are when they're sitting in those meeting rooms and doing all of the delegating of the duties. So I kind of feel like he gave his truth, but I think it was a misinformed truth in some regards. Now, I will also say it might be informed truth in a lot of other regards. I don't think it's all the way one way or the other, but a lot, few of his teammates did take exception to it. Big name teammates.
Yeah, look, it's his opinion, and this is one where we don't know his perspective, what he saw, what he heard, how he took it. I tend to actually think, sometimes the guys who aren't in are able to sit back, especially veteran guys,
and just look
and see and witness more. Look, I don't have a problem with any of it, whether that's his opinion or the other guys that clack back at him, because now EB gets a chance to go to Washington. He's not under Andy Reid. He doesn't have Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback. It's his show, and he gets the opportunity to prove himself. So to me, it's all like we're going to make a big deal about this because the time of year. If this was said in season, we could literally just say, check the tape. Let's go back and look at what Washington did this past week. Are they good or are they not? Is he coming up with some unique creative schemes? Is he not? All that stuff's going to sort itself out as we get closer to the season with now EB not, working for the Kansas City Chiefs and having the opportunity to go somewhere else.
Why hasn't Patrick Mahomes come out and been more vocal about Eric Bieniemy?
Because he doesn't need to. Like, there's no reason for him to get caught up in any minutia situations. Like, the bottom line is that Eric is going to get his opportunity to show that he can be an assistant head coach and a successful offensive coordinator without Andy Reid. I don't think that Patrick Mahomes needs to get involved. What I mean, it's not going to make a do you guys think it would make a tremendous difference if he got caught up into the back and forth about it? He gave him his propers after the game. He gave Eric Bieniemy and the coaching staff their props after the game. I mean, I think he said what needed to be said, and he moved on from it. They thought they were underdogs. They proved to everybody that they weren't.
It's valid.
That's still the funniest thing I've heard.
It's valid.
There you go.
Yeah. People thought they weren't going to make the playoffs.
I feel like Jonas is sensing something more. Jonas is trying to get to something more.
I don't think Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy got along. I don't think they got along. I think there was some friction there, and maybe Patrick Mahomes is like, all right, good riddance. He's going to go somewhere else. He's going to do his thing.
What makes you feel that?
There was a report that came out, I think it was last offseason, that said there was maybe some tension there, which led to the question about whether or not Eric Bieniemy was going to come back last year, because this was on the table and a part of the conversation a year ago. They had that little disagreement on the field this past season, and it looked like they got heated almost or whatever, and they both sort of downplayed it afterwards. But it feels like there's just something more there, that maybe the dynamic between Bieniemy and some people in Kansas City wasn't as nice as everybody is trying to make it out to be. But
I'll put it this way: in my experience being on a number of teams, sometimes you'll get coaching staffs that divide up the situations to put together some of the plays. So the passing game, it may not be Eric Bieniemy's responsibility. That could be on Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, someone else. And then when you go to red zone, third down, short yardage, all those situations, that might fall on some other coaches on their staff, where they're kind of coming up with the presentation, what the defense is going to try to do, what we're trying to do offensively. Sometimes it just depends on how they divvy up those tasks. I mean, I will say this, I have not been a part of a team, and Anthony Lynn's name was mentioned. He's one of the only running back coach next to Eric Studesville, who I'd been around, that had played more of a role in some of those presentations and some of that stuff. But that's it. I mean, it wasn't like you had a ton of running backs coaches who were presenting stuff on the passing game. It was usually the head coach, if he's an offensive mind, or OC, sometimes quarterback coach, and kind of wide receivers coach, all coupling up on that. And again, that's not to say that running back coach can't. It's just it's not the role in which they are designated within that coaching staff. So everyone could honestly be right to a degree, and it's honestly just LeSean McCoy's perspective on what he saw, what he observed while he was there. But as you said, VAR, they don't know what's going on behind the scenes in those closed door meetings with the coaching staffs. It could be something entirely different.
And I think Ron Rivera alluded to the fact that they were going to be sort of a run-first offense this upcoming season. Sam Howell is the starting quarterback, whether that stays the case or not. And if that's the case, if you do have Bieniemy, wouldn't that make sense, making him the hire? If this really is going to be a run-first offense and that's his specialty, doesn't this make even more sense?
You're being sarcastic.
No, I'm
right
serious.
there.
I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Because they don't run the ball, right? They're not a run-first offense.
Yeah,
So,
well,
I mean,
they were able to
you
run
just
it.
don't like Eric Bieniemy.
I'm saying in Washington.
I don't know,
stuff.
Berto.
They were able to run.
I don't know, Berto.
Berto ain't there yet. You don't like Eric Bieniemy.
I'm saying Ron Rivera was saying that in Washington that the plan was,
there we go.
that the plan was they were going to be a run first offense. So
Jonas.
to bring in Eric Bieniemy does make a lot of sense.
Oh, so what you're
what
saying
are you guys
is
getting at
you're
here?
saying
what are you trying
that
to allude
black
to?
people run the ball, huh?
Is that
Wow.
Jeez. You know what?
I'm just going to address that.